Hello everyone and welcome to episode 24 of Let's Play Pokemon Crystal. In the last part we beat three gym leaders, ending with Brock, and got the Silver Wing, and now we're going to be moving on to Mount Moon for an optional little fight you can do. Against who, you may ask? Well, let's just say it's the final encounter we can actually do with old Jason. Actually, in Heart Gold Soul Silver there is one more boss, another fight you can do with this guy at the Indigo Plateau, but I don't know if you can do that or not in the original Crystal and such. But this is our last fight against him, and he even got a new sprite. And he also has a full team of 6. Now, this is by far the quote-unquote hardest of his fights, if you can really define his fights as hard in any meaning, considering I absolutely destroyed him last time. But it was somewhat different from my usual fights with him, because I actually had to level up Fallon here a couple of levels so I can get everyone up to level 60 by the time I'm at the final boss at least. Then again, I'm going to be doing a lot of searching in during the next recording session. As for what? Well, I'll tell you at the end of this video. Now anyway, Jason here starts off with a Sneasel. Dark Ice type should be pretty easy to take out if you're using a fire type, but I decided to use this Steel Wing it to death. His second Pokemon is Magneton, which, if this was, I think, Gen 3 onwards, this thing would actually have the ability to levitate, which means that my best move for Cam probably wouldn't hit it. But then again, I don't remember if Magnemites and Magnetons have the levitate ability later on. Let me look that up, actually. But, luckily, due to the fact that he doesn't have any abilities whatsoever, Earthquake one-shots him. And next he sends out his Feraligatr. And once and for all, it's time to decide which set starter is the best. Of course, it's going to be mine, because, well, he's kind of over-leveled. Nope, does not look like Magneton has the ability of, what's it called? It doesn't have the levitate ability. It either has Sturdy, which protects it from one-hit KOs, or Magnapole, which traps steel types. And anyway, I took off Feraligatr I wasn't looking. And he sent out his Golbat, which is by far his weakest Pokemon. But then again, that's just me, considering I'm a little over-leveled for this part of the game. But note, little. There'll be a fight later on in this video that is actually even leveled with me. And he sends out his Gengar. Now, this is actually pretty funny. I don't remember if his has it, but remember how Pat has Psychic? Well, Psychic types are super effective against Ghost types. To the point where if a Ghost type uses Psychic against another Ghost type, it will KO it in one hit. Oh, Pat, you are very useful now that you have Psychic, even though you've had Psychic for a bit. Now he sends out his last Pokemon, which is undoubtedly, in my opinion, the second hardest next to his Feraligatr, his Alakazam. That's only because it's Psychic type. Ugh. But surprisingly, Psychic moves, even though they're not... Nope, but Notice how I took out maybe about a third... Maybe... what's it called? Maybe 4/10 of his HP. That's just because... That just shows you how overpowered Psychic types are throughout the series, considering... A Psychic type move will do that much damage to a freaking Psychic type. That is ridiculous. But luckily, Steel types now exist in the series, and Psychic types are not really good against them. At least I think so. I'd have to check out my walkthrough, but I can't reach it considering it's on the other side of the room. And that's it for Jason. And as you can see, he's raised his Pokemon, actually. And we get 9,000. Don't even make the Dragon Ball Z reference, Kyle. Just don't. But anyway, this is also where his character arc comes to a close. He's proving how he's going to be by beating us, but he's actually starting to treat his Pokemon with love. And suddenly back in Pewter City. It's time to head down south. To the Viridian's Forest, which has really been downsized from its appearance in Gen 1 and Gen 1. But then again, in Gen 3 it's the same size, but in the Heart Gold Soul Silver they returned it to being its own big area. Because the only reason it's really like this is because of space limitations, but it also makes sense because the Viridian Forest was an introductory dungeon to really show you how dungeons worked in the first game. And now, welcome to Viridian City. There's a gym here, but we can't fight the gym leader yet, so moving on to the next town. Welcome to Route 1. Now, see this guy here? Him and the other trainer on this route have like level 40 Pokemon. And Pallet Town up here is the hometown of the hero from the first game, and Blue, the rival from the first game. I feel so sorry for anyone who has a Charmander that has to go up against those. But anyway, this is Red's house. And Red hasn't called, but he's a silent protagonist. How would he talk? Would just be like, would like phone calls with him just be like a lot of ellipses or something? But anyway, if you go into Red's room, you see that he actually has a Nintendo 64, which I kind of like, because they update that throughout the series. The original game was an NES. I think your room in silver or yellow is a Super Nintendo, and in this it's a Nintendo 64. In Gen 4, I know it's a Wii, and I wonder what it's going to be in Gen 6. Probably a Wii U. But anyway, now we're at Professor Oak's, and he says that once we defeat all the gym leaders here in Kanto, we can get something from him. Also, 193 Pokemon seen, but only 22 caught. How is that I'm doing only good? I've seen a majority of the Pokemon. There's only... let me see, let me do this math. There's only 58 Pokemon left to see, and I'll see a majority of those by the end of the game. And now we have the only other water route in the game, but besides the one that's south of Fuchsia, which leads to Cinnabar City, and those rocks weren't there before. Welcome to Cinnabar Island, which I should have, I gotta admit, they really did badly with the music with this. They should have brought, they really should have used an 8-bit version of the Cinnabar Island theme. But as it turns out, this place was at one point a city, which it was in Gen 1, but it's on top of a volcano. And the entire town was destroyed by its eruption. And it's actually kind of grim with the bringing up here, because even if you win and lose in the game, if nature so much as twitches, the lives can be lost, which is rather grim for a kid series like this, and he flies away. Whether he used his Pidgeot to fly or something else, I'm not sure. But I do know one comparison I can make to him, that animation with him flying like that. I need to go now. My planet needs me. But also unlocks Blue to fight, but he's the final gym leader, so I'm saving him for last. First off, we're heading over here to the Seafoam Islands, which sadly no longer has the legendary Pokemon Articuno in it. So we can find the smallest gym in the game, the Cinnabar Gym, which has the gym leader Blaine. If I remember correctly, actually, wasn't Blaine here, first off, he's the Fire-type gym leader, by the way. But, wasn't he, what's it called, one of the researchers that worked on Mewtwo? Huh. But anyway, he starts off with Magcargo, one of the worst Fire-types out there. It's Fire Rock or Fire Ground, one of the two, and that's just not a good combination. I've only really ever used it once, so I don't really remember how well it went with me. I know I lost that match, actually. I'll blame it on him. But anyway, this is one gym where it pays to have a water type because even though his Pokemon are, I think, below my levels, yeah, about 10 levels below me, he can still be pretty problematic because fire types are pretty high in attack and special attack. So if you're not careful, this can go south for you if you're not being too careful. But if you're like me and you have a water type, you have no excuse for losing. And Blaine's down and out. That was easy, wasn't it? But also, if you paid attention when I walked into this gym, the guy who's usually there by the statues wasn't there, but now he's actually here. That guy is actually the guy that tells you pretty much what you should be paying attention for, what you're going to be facing ahead of you. But if you actually were to talk to him, he'd say how he's late, and suddenly back in Viridian City, now it's time to take on the final gym leader in the game. Who is he? Well, first off, in Gen 1, this guy, the gym leader here, was Giovanni, the leader of Team Rocket, but now, in the best gym ever that's made out of Legos and has no bullshit gimmicks or trainers, it's between us and Blue, or as I like to call him whenever I play Gen 1, Gary fucking Oak. Now, this is by far the second hardest fight in the game aside from the final one. First off, he sends out his Pidgeot, normal flying type, which is pretty average, but as you pay attention, their levels are for the majority equal to, if not higher than mine. I still win this fight easily, but whew. Actually, one thing I do like that's a nice little pay attention to detail or nice little touch is that Pidgeot here is his highest level Pokemon, I think. Or at least I think it is in Heart Gold Soul Silver. And he actually caught this in the original generation as a Pidgey, and he used it throughout the entire game. I think it was a Pidgeot in the final fight, but I haven't played Red, Blue, or Yellow in forever. Whirlwind! I think that's actually the first time I've come across this move. What that does is that sends your current Pokemon back into its Pokeball and brings out a random one. Fortunately, it brought out one that would kill it in the next turn, because... Oh, wait, what now? Because now, this actually could have been very bad, because ground types are weak to flying type moves, or at least their moves can't easily affect flying types. Second Pokemon out is a Gyarados, Water Dragon type. I strongly suggest that you just use an electric type attack on it, like Thunder Punch! Mine shiny. Then again, I'm never using Shiny Slave again. Well, once. Well, one more time, and that's the next part, but we'll get to that when we get to it. And he's down. Blaze go to level 58. And he's sending out his next Pokemon, Rhydon. Another one I think he had in his final team in Gold and Red and Blue, but I don't remember. I think this one's pure ground type, but I'm gonna need to check. But either way, it's ground type. Use a water type attack. And you should be pretty good. Rhydon is ground rock, so yeah, it's 4 times weak to water type attacks. And the next Pokemon is the Executor, which is the one that actually is giving me the most trouble here. Grass Psychic type, but the thing is, it's not that powerful of a Pokemon. It doesn't knock out anyone. You know, it's an equal level with Blaze, but the problem with it is, as you'll see here, I Flame Wheel it, which due to the fact that it's not that they're equal levels, I didn't expect it to take it out, which it doesn't. Brings it to near KO. Very close, actually. Uses a Leech Seed on me, which actually Leech Seed steals HP from you every turn. But the thing is, he uses full restores on this thing. No freaking fair, you're a gym leader, you're not supposed to use them. I mean, sure, you're the second to last real fight in the game, but still! I think there is one more other trainer, but he's optional. Then again, if technically speaking, this entire half the game is optional, so... And another full restore! I hate you, Blue. He probably has these left over because I destroyed him in my most recent Yellow playthrough. Oh god, that's gonna be a satisfying fight once I get to it in Yellow. Ugh, I hate doing that game. And the thing is, I actually already have my Yellow team completely planned out. Then again, it's a team that I almost always use, considering it's gonna have all 4 of the Pokemon, the 3 starters, Pikachu, and 2 others. But it's funny because it's a team we'll almost be seeing Pokemon for Pokemon, nearly just with an added Espeon next part, actually. And next out, he sends out another one of his more difficult Pokemon, his Alakazam. Took me a moment there because I was trying to decide whether or not I should switch out. But then I remembered that Psychic types, while their special defense is through the roof, their physical defense is absolute crap. And luckily, a majority of Cam's moves, well, good moves at least, are physical. And his final Pokemon is an Arcanine. Fire type. Yeah, it's fire type exclusively, actually. Now, what's kind of funny, actually, is that, you know the legendary Pokemon that you've seen, like Suicune and such? This, technically speaking, Arcanine is a legendary Pokemon. He's the only actual real named one in-game. Because, that is his species name. Because all Pokemon have a secondary name to them. They have their normal name, like Arcanine or Vaporeon, and then they have a sub-name, like he's the legendary Pokemon. I don't know what Vaporeon is. In fact, the only other Pokemon sub-name I know is Pikachu, which is the little mouse, if I remember correctly. Or is it Electric Mouse? Now, actually, one thing I realized when I was recording this is that look how high Matt's HP is. That is the main reason I chose him to be a Vaporeon. The HP stat is through the roof. And we get the final badge, the Earth Badge. Oh, Blue, you're so fun to refight in Heart Gold and Soul Silver after beating the final boss. Anyway, now normally I would end this off here, but there's one more thing I need to do in this part. So let's head on down to Pallet Town, shall we? But first, a quick stop to the Pokemon Center, of course. If I remember correctly, this is actually the only route in any game that uses this theme. So anyway, now that we've gotten all 8 badges, remember that Oak had a reward for us? Let's go talk to him and find out what that was. And what he does is that he's gonna make arrangements so we can go to Mount Silver, the final dungeon in the game. We'll be heading over to that next part, but well, in 2 parts. Well, actually, yeah, at the end of next part. But as for what we're doing next part, it's time for the most tedious part of the game. We're going to be legendary hunting. First off, we're going to be finding Raikou and Entei, then the 2 other version mascots. And that's actually a good topic because I'm going to actually be beginning with one of the 2 dogs, Raikou or Entei. I'm not sure which. It depends on who I encounter first. But we'll see that next time on Let's Play Pokemon Crystal. Thank you guys for watching. Rate, comment, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And I'll see you guys then when I start off with one of the 2 dogs. See you guys then.